Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'll talk about my 5 top mistakes that I made when entering this hobby. And perhaps you did too. And if you don't, please leave in the comment below. I'm very happy to hear and I would like you to share your experience. And if you are just new to the hobby, you know, see what I did and perhaps try to avoid them, just because if you do, perhaps you can save some money. Number 5 is jumping right to the newest game. Entering the hobby is like a party. You have these amazing reviews and on YouTube with amazing art on all these games and playthrough, Instagram accounts full of amazing pictures as well. And you're overwhelmed that excited gamers and reviewers that discuss the newest game, the upcoming game, the Kickstarter project that is coming out, and you are like in awe of seeing all these beauties. And all the reviews are like saying, oh, this is an amazing, this is the best game I ever see, etc., etc. But I want you to remember that these reviewers are people that have played many games and most of the time play these games one or twice because there's a new one coming out, and that's the part of the job. There's something wrong with it. But what happened is, it's like going to a restaurant. The first bite of any dish is extremely good. Is how many times you actually go back to a restaurant to have a second time the same dish. Not many times, very few rare cases. And often the newest addition to the market is not that one. It may look very good, it may taste very good at first bite, the second bite can sustain the test of time. This is the real question. And what I did when I joined is looking at the best and newest games and purchase them and play them, and actually realized that most of the time these are okay games. They're not bad. They're okay games, but I missed out on many previous games that are even better. If you go on the internet and find the website BoardGameGeek.com, you have the list of the best games of all times, ranked from 1 to whatever thousands. Some of them are very recent, 2023, 2022, but some of them are 2008, 2015, 2000, 1998, and so on and so forth. And they are still there. People still play it. But on YouTube and Instagram, you see them less because they are not part of the new. YouTube and Instagram are there to advertise at the end of the day what is coming out in the market, and is part of the business these people are in. And so you need to know that to make your own decision. So actually now I'm discovering many old games and think of these are really games that I prefer keep in my collection rather than newer, because of the solid mechanic, because of what they bring to the table. And you can also appreciate even more considering that the newest generation of games depends on them. You can see mechanics that are being used before reutilized or re-implemented, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you actually want to play the OG game that I brought for the first time a specific mechanics. One example is Dominion, a deck building, very simple. You get cards, you play cards. To get more cards, you make your deck bigger, and eventually you convert those cards in victory points. Other games do the same, not so well, not sometimes better, but still Dominion is a very solid game that doesn't matter how old it is, you bring it to the table, you're gonna have fun. To avoid this mistake, don't forget to look back to see what's been done before and which games are still up there in the ranking among the top 10 or top 20 games of all times, and try also those. And the good thing is they can be found quite cheaply on the marketplace, second hand, because they are so popular that everyone has it, and sometimes too many copies or too many games, and so they give it away. So number 5, jump to the newest game. Number 4, buy too many games too soon. This hobby can be very expensive and can get very expensive very fast. And what happens is when you discover this hobby, maybe you see 1 or 2 games that you are interested, or you try even 1 or 2 games, and you bring it to some friends and they enjoy it, so you want to relive that experience and bring something fresh. But by the time you meet your friends again, maybe 1 or 2 weeks pass by, and during those weeks you are bombarded with new informations of new games that have been released or they were released in the past, and you are interested, and so you start purchasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 maybe games by the time you see your friends again, and you bring them all to the board game night. And obviously you don't have time to play 10 games. If you do, it's amazing for you, but I didn't. And so I bring all the time these 5, 6 boxes, and maybe we play 1 or 2 games multiple times, but maybe 2. And so, okay, well, I have 6 others that I want to try, so reschedule another event, and that during that time to wait for the new event, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month passed by, and I found other games that I want to try, and so I purchased those. And you see the vicious circus that it creates. You can always try 2 or 3 each night, and so I found myself enjoying less the game experience itself, because I was more thinking about those that I'm missing out, that are sitting outside of the table that I purchased, I want to try, but we don't have time. And so what I suggest is build your collection slowly. There's plenty of time. There are so many out there that we shouldn't have this FOMO for gaming in general. So build your library slowly and enjoy each game as much as you can. There's nothing wrong to play the same game 10 times as long as you enjoy it. There's nothing wrong to have a 10 game collection. Absolutely nothing wrong. You don't need to follow what you see on YouTube or Instagram with walls and walls of games. It's really, at least I didn't find satisfying, and it felt quite frustrating having those boxes just accumulating dust, and I still do. So number 4, buy too many too soon. My number 3 is playing games only with family and friends. You get into the hobby, you like that game and the other games, these mechanics, and you want to share this excitement that you have with the closest one. It's natural. You want to play with your wife, you want to play with your girlfriend or boyfriend, friends and family, and so you have what we discussed, your 10 board games that you just purchased in 1 week, and you want to expose your closest people to them. But more often than not, they are not as interested as you are. They will sit at the table to spend time together, but not with the same excitement, not with the same interest. And so what happened is that complex game like Sight, Terraforming Mars, Brass, you name it, are not the kind of game that maybe your boyfriend or your girlfriend wants to play, or your father maybe even understand how to play, might not be able to remember all these rules if this is the first time play such a complex game. And so maybe the first night goes well, meaning they play 1 or 2 games, but they don't want to play it again, or you will see you will get more refuses to play some specific game, and maybe simpler one. And this is totally normal. So don't get upset if your friends are not as interested as you are. Don't even judge it. Don't dare to judge them because they don't have the same interest. What I did, and find people in your area that have the same interests as you are. Internet is amazing resources. Allows you to connect with people everywhere in the world and everywhere in your city. There are meetups everywhere, and you can join them. You can join board game groups in maybe some little shops or cafes, and those people are as eager to try in any type of game as much as you are. And so that's a very great experience. Maybe you can make new friends, maybe you can come and invite them over and share your games to your collection. They can do the reverse, they share their games with you, and that is a very more fulfilling experience. And then you can spend the time with your family, play maybe some games that are a little bit lighter, like a Ticket to Ride, Pandemic, or Azul. So my number 3 is playing only with family and friends. And number two is buying always shrink wrap games or brand new games, so from the store with nice cellophane around it. When you are a student, as it was, or you start having the first job, having this hobby can really take a toll on your finances. Maybe struggle to pay bills or rent, or very hard situation that can cause you stress, be upset, because probably the games is the first things you're gonna give up on it. What I suggest is you don't need to buy a shrink wrap game from the store. I mean, if you can, that's amazing. You support the local businesses, which is a good thing. But if you cannot afford it, well, Google, internet is your friend. Marketplace is a great resource to find all kinds of games. And I'm gonna make a video about it to tell you and prove it to you that any games can be found in the wild as long as you are patient. So if you're on a budget, no need to buy from the store. Just go to the marketplace, go to any thrift store or on the internet where people resell their games second-handed. And don't be afraid to, many people say, how good the box condition is, how good the pieces inside are. I do have everything inside. How can I start counting all the cards when I buy a second-hand game? There's the chance, the risk that the game is incomplete. Well, I'm gonna tell you that the chances are very, very little, for two reasons. Most of the people, so number one, most of the people are honest. When they sell their game, they check and they tell you if something is missing. They also tell you the state of the cover of the box, and maybe possibly even the picture of the box is broken, but the pieces are fine. Number two is most people that they resell their game, they resell it because they don't play it, or they have played it very few times. That means that the chances that a piece is missing are very low, because really, you lose pieces. The more you play, the more pieces you lose. The more you play, the more the cards are beaten up. So remember, the games that are usually on the marketplace are games that have not been played that often, and so that is very good to you. One other reason to go to the marketplace is because sometimes really people want to get rid of the games as soon as possible. Unfortunately, some people may struggle with finances, and so they want cash very fast, and so they will discount their gains very much. And so you can help them picking up those games. And you may say, but in this case, I always get not the newest game. I'm gonna always get the oldest one, and maybe 5 years or 6 years ago release, which is not cool. I mean, if it's not cool to you, it's fine. But the good news is the marketplace has also the newest games. You say, well, how's that possible? Well, it is a fact. I try to imagine why that happens. I couldn't come up with a solution, but it happens is sometimes you see the newest Kickstarter release being delivered and someone doesn't want it, or for different reasons. Again, most of the time is finances. People buy this big bundle with 500 worth of material, and they want those money back as soon as possible to pay the rent, and so they will sell their Kickstarter, or the game that has been delivered doesn't meet their expectations, so they don't want it. They don't have enough space. Some of them, they were speculating when they're backing their games, hoping that the game will get a bigger buzz, and so people will seek the game more, but they didn't, and so they just want to get it off and recoup their money. There are lots of kinds of people, and you can find one of those selling their all-in pledge on the marketplace, and then you can pick it up. Board Game Geek is also very good. The drawback of Board Game Geek is I found the price a little bit more inflated, and then you have shipping. Often you don't find the person living in your same town having or selling that game. The marketplace definitely is a better option for that regard. So just look around, be patient, and I guess this connects with the previous point. I think number 5 is you have chances to explore older game and have an opinion on those if you look on the marketplace. So my number two mistake that I made is always buying shrink wrap games from a store when resources are short. And my number one mistake entering the hobby is having all the expansion of a game or backing the all-in pledge on Kickstarter before even playing the game. So I discovered Kickstarter. This is an amazing platform that allows people to support creator to bring their game to the market. And you will see that each game has a page telling you what it's going to offer you, what things you can get if you support them, and you have several tiers of pledge where you can back the base game, which can be retail version, can be the deluxe version with better pieces, can be the version with expansion, 1 expansion, 2 expansion, 3 expansion, expansion plus promo, expansion plus playmat, expansion plus dinner with the artist, whatever. You have all kinds of tiers. You look at the page and it's so good, it looks so good. You read the rule book or the draft of the rule book and this game is amazing, I'm gonna like it for sure. And the way the page is built sometimes make you feel that this is the only chance for you to get the game. So you really want this game because it's gonna be rare to find, you're gonna love it, and because you're gonna love it, you're gonna play so many times, you want all the expansion to increase the replay value of a game. And so you find yourself always backing the all-in pledge and spend $300, $400 for each game that you back. I did that and I realized that was a big mistake for many reasons. First of all, if the game is a really success, it's gonna be reprinted. You don't need to have FOMO at all. On the internet, there's a Tom Vassell law. If a game is a good game, it's gonna be reprinted. So no worry about missing out. Then you have the risk, the intrinsic risk with Kickstarter that the game is not going to be released. So that means if you back a game of $300, $400, that game may not be released at all. It's very rare, but can happen. It happened to me only once in a few games that I backed, but it can happen. So bear in mind that. Then the game on Kickstarter often is more expensive than the game in retailers. Why is that? Well, because the purpose of Kickstarter is to fund the production of the game, not selling the game. Most of the people think Kickstarter is just a shop. It's not. It's to support the creators to make game. And retailers can support as well, and they get a discounted price for their product, and so often the price matches each. But on top of that, you need to pay the shipping cost to your location. Sometimes that can be very, very high. But definitely the number one reason why I stopped doing that, and was the biggest mistake that I ever done in this hobby, is because the game may not be as good as you think. And so when you start playing the game, you have all that bunch of stuff that you're not interested because you're not interested on the base game on the first place. And if you are really interested on the base game, you may not have enough time to play enough to say, I feel like I need something more to add, like expansion, or because nowadays the expansion in the games is so big, they occupies the whole bookshelf, you may find that actually the expansion decrease the likeness that you bring that game to the table, because there's so much stuff to bring, to build and set up, that you say, you know what, I'm gonna do something quicker. I stopped doing that. I back a game on Kickstarter only if there's a reason, meaning a significant discount. Sometimes they do to incentivize their support of these games that I have tried. Another reason is that if the game is successful, it will probably get reprinted. Often companies test the market with one Kickstarter, it goes well, they reprint the game, they release new expansion, and maybe they give upgrades, or they tweak some rules that didn't work out well, and all of a sudden your all-in bundle is obsolete compared to what is coming out. And I found sometimes actually quite frustrating that when that happens. So what I suggest is play the game, wait for the game, and see if you like it, and decided to back it if you have a reprint, or purchase on the store to support the store, and also sometimes I get it at a better discount price. For the expansions, I tell you that I would say that maybe 1 or 2% games really need an expansion, the others really don't, for many reasons. One can be too cumbersome, and second, you don't play the game enough of times to justify all those expansions. Expansions are meant to increase the replay value, increase you experience, but if you really struggle with playing games a couple of times because you have so many or you don't have enough time, really the expansion doesn't do anything to you. And so nowadays I really backed Kickstarter only for special occasions, meaning I think this is a game where, for example, Asia is not gonna be easy to be found in North America. I played it before or heard it long enough to say this is something that I'm going to like, or there's a reprint giving some more upgrade stuff or some retweaked rules, or is a reprint of a game that I know is not that easy to find at retails, and that can happen too. So after I know that, maybe I back the game. These are my 5 mistakes that I made. Let me know if you did the same, let me know if you agree, and let me know if you just jump into the hobby and that this video was useful to you to save you some money, and maybe also be a little bit upset. I got sometimes upset making those mistakes. I don't want you to feel in the same way. Thank you very much for subscribing. Don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, follow me on Instagram. You know the drill. This is not your first YouTube channel. And check the other top 5 videos, top 10, and also the special content that you can find on Patreon. I have the top 5 disappointment of 2023. And with all this, thank you very much again, and see you next time. Ciao.